icon toppling, things are crashing, you see that now. You know, people getting fired, people getting hired, publicly, privately. We don't believe in the FBI, we don't believe in the government, we don't believe in the president, we don't believe in the church. If I start to list the things that we don't believe in, you'll see how the icons of society are just like right now. And I honestly believe, I look back even though I look forward, and I do think it is the first time that these things are smashing so hard. And then, of course, my favorite, SOS Save Our Society. So I thought, just for encouragement, I would help you take a look at LOHAS, you know, do a little what we call like a discontinuity trend analysis. We kind of list the trends, and we see, you know, where things are headed, and also if the actual entity fits the trends. So does LOHAS fit the trends? Interestingly, it kind of does. I mean, I was very happy to see that. Otherwise, I couldn't present these pages. Atmosphere, increasing desire for transparency. People, you know, looking at the, fearing what's out there. Atmosphere, fear. Future tense, you know, brands that offer an optimistic view of the future, very desirable. A path to get there, a path for goodness. Evolution, which is about, I wrote a book called Evolution some years ago about the female and the male brain, and how the, well, it was really about the female brain, and how the female brain is so completely different. Ask any man. Do you understand what your wife is talking about, or your girlfriend? And if you get him on the right day where he's telling the absolute truth, he will tell you, I have no clue. Talk about the battle of the sexes. I mean, it's just totally different planets, you know? And the reason that men have no clue about, I'm going to solve all your marital problems and your relational problems right now. Okay, so a woman's brain fires off left, right, left, right. So that's why she says, I'm going to pick up the kids, I'm going to go shopping, is it raining? Oh, what do you think? Oh, you have a spot on your thing. You know, like left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. And they can see like that. And that's caused in prehistoric days. There's a reason for this. You know, they're rocking the baby. They got to look out for the lion, you know, that could jump across, you know, and they're stirring the food, and they're peripheral. They look at things peripherally. Man's brain. Left, 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 left. Right, 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 right. And if you don't believe me, try switching subjects on a guy fast. Because what are you talking, weren't you just talking about that? And he's answering the question of 2 paragraphs ago? This creates a lot of tension in relationships. And the reason that a man's brain is like this is because he, prehistorically, went out, saw the thing running, got the club, hit it over the head, one direction, boom, brought the thing home, fed the family, went back out. Left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, 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 right, right. See? Once you understand this, you're no longer angry. But that's how women, no, it's true. You'll be so much happier after knowing this. But it's true that when we buy products, it's the same thing. My book, I'm a marketer, I guess. Marketeer, futurist, what? It's true that when a woman looks at like a, you know, a product, first of all, advertising is fairly ineffectual when it comes to female. They paid for that, I don't buy it. Men are actually getting onto that too. A woman really wants to understand what the social meaning behind a product is. What is it? What does the company stand for? I've been trying to get chairmen to stand up before spills, you know, and things. That's when they finally decide they're going to get up. And say, here I am, I'm responsible, the buck stops, it's me. I'm running the country, you know, the company. And a lot of these companies look like countries. So that's the kind of thing a woman responds to when she buys a brand. And interestingly, there you are. LOHAS, intimate, transparent, direct, deep. So that works. And then being alive. A faltering healthcare system is forcing consumers to embrace greater personal responsibility and explore real alternatives. You're right on trend there. 99 Lives, people are running around and they're looking for clarity and explanation in simple terms. And then Fantasy Adventure, which is looking for little explorations in the products we buy. So we're looking for it's a fantasy of adventure, not real adventure. So right on trend, beautiful. So the trends tell us that LOHAS's future is, when is it? When's the future? Right. But here's the cultural content. And the culture is really the new media. We don't believe in TV media. We believe the culture is the media. So look what's crashing here. Get your tissues out. Economy, ethics, environment, the triangle of the culture, the black holes, all three anchors of these triangles of culture have simultaneously crashed at the same. You know this is true because you know it's true because it's true. They've crashed. Bang. Bang. So we're looking at a time when we're going from me, that's what crashed the culture, lost faith in societal pillars, rejected them. Icon toppling, vigilante consumer, anger, voice of our anger with the powers that be. We don't like the powers. Cashing out, I'm leaving. I'm exchanging excess for simplicity. But that was last year, you know, the me. Last 10 years, the me. And even the more evolved me. But the me is going to we. So we is about planning, formation of global communities, and Twitter allows us to do that, and Facebook allows us to do that. And our own kind of thinking and expansive thinking allows us to do that. So the formation of global communities of common interest, anchoring, rediscovering a higher spiritual purpose, rediscovering a social conscience of ethics and compassion, SOS. The we. From me, if you have to remember one thing, actually there are two things I want you to remember. I haven't told you about the next one though. Me to we and the arc. So me to we. So look at Japan, really successful in Japan you are. So that's a very we culture. Everybody marches as we. And America is rapidly evolving to the same we culture. So the arc, and this is something Linda and I are working on, I'll probably be the next book or something. The time of reinvention and renewal, we're calling it the arc. And this shift in cultural consciousness is setting consumers on a new course, seeking brands that inspire, inform, think about your brands, elevate and connect. And those brands will be allowed on the arc. Other brands will not be allowed on the arc. The consumer is jumping onto the arc, think of it, you know, like in a magical way, pushing off from the shores of destruction and pollution and lies, sailing off in this arc, and they will need some stuff on there. But it's going to be very carefully filtered. So the recovery must rebalance ethics, the environment, and the economy collectively. You have to build a new collective consciousness, and it goes from me to we. So it's the rise of ARC brands. And here, while the me world has peaked in decline, the we world, led by people like you, is beginning to rise. Resonating authentic intent to create the highest good for the consumer, the planet, the brand, and incorporating the human technologies, that's wisdom, intuition, compassion, and empathy, and companies infused with ARC tenets are leading consumers toward a healthy, balanced, rewarding future. And I'm going to show you how it's starting to happen in a sec. So the tenets are, and everything has to have rules and tenets, but these are kind of unique. Never forget the consumer is a human being first. Nurture the human being in that consumer. Stand for something your consumer believes in. It's required that you believe in it too. Because you notice people are putting out like messages they think are going to sell, but the consumer really knows. Are you doing it too? Communicate with authority and authenticity. People are seeking true leadership wherever they can find it, because it's certainly not in Washington. Anyway, there are only two ways to communicate to consumers. You can communicate through their fear or through their power. ARC brands always communicate through the power. And don't lie. Do not lie, not even little lies. Find the truth in your brand and communicate it in a truthful way. And that future really is now. So LOHAS values are being absorbed right now. You see it into the mass culture. So you can be very proud of that. You see it. Mainstream brands are vying for a place, and goodness, all those brands with lots of money are starting to sound a little bit like you. And it's getting a little bit crowded. So it's getting more crowded as brands are starting to struggle to find their higher purpose. So you look at, Dove did such a nice job with that, trying to find a better purpose. And it's getting more crowded. It's really getting more crowded. Brands are getting greener. Tom's of Maine, Hyundai. And it's getting more crowded because brands are starting to get a little bit transparent. You notice that? You've seen that on Timberland. They list the kind of ethics of the company on their ingredients label. And companies are starting to take responsibility for society's infrastructure, and that's a big prediction. What's happening is the infrastructure I showed you collapsed, and certain companies will take little pieces of what's collapsed and kind of support it. So Walmart's doing hunger, and Campbell's didn't move out of Camden. They're looking at urban renewal, and Apple is looking at public transport, and Microsoft is looking at education. So Tesco creates housing on top of their stores. So it's kind of getting a little bit more crowded in there. So LOHAS's future is when is it? Now. Now. You used to be very future-y, but right now you're now. So LOHAS built the ark, right? But that little ark could set sail without you. Today you're a group of me's. I have noticed that, people they're at LOHAS, but they talk about my company, my thing, my green, my, me. So they kind of share a point of view, but it's mainly about me. So I think what could happen here is from a group of niche brands, really, a social movement, a way of life. And if you look at Whole Foods, that's a gorgeous model. Look under the roof of Whole Foods. It's a bunch of me's, right? But Whole Foods kind of conglomerated it, mushed it together, so it had a bigger meaning. And the meaning was, we're going to be careful about who we let in here. They created kind of an arc, if you want to look at it that way, on their own. And I'm thinking that LOHAS could become a collective, and could become a movement, and could become an arc of the future. So you saw the future, and I'm thinking now you really have to own it. And I'm going to leave you with this. What's the me to we? What's the transformation and the collective and the arc to your best future? And I thank you.